I would like to give the word to our great friend Robin, and she will moderate our panel discussion.
There we go. I had to unmute myself. Thank you so much, guys, for all of that information. It was amazing. And I do have a bunch of questions to ask you, so I'd love to start there. So the first question is, one thing that's clear throughout the entire book is the potential for the tech sector to really disrupt longevity. But a lot of investors in the world of longevity don't actually think that way, but I know you guys do. So I would love, especially Dimitri, what are your thoughts around that?
Well, of course, my thought that artificial intelligence is, the major tool, the major solution. It shall be like any science. First of all, 7 years ago, when I entered the field, there was no AI at all, and even big data was, something like very kind of abstract. Big data in medicine. However, over these 7 years, artificial intelligence in medicine, in drug discovery and biotech R&D became very practical, very realistic tool, and the progress is accelerating. So we can, it's absolutely inevitable that in the next 2-3 years, with artificial intelligence in healthcare, in longevity, will happen more than happened during the last 7 years. Kate, Frank, I think that you can add quite a lot on these matters.
Indeed. Sure. Please go ahead, Franco.
Sure, Kate. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Dimitri. We're living very much in a data-driven world, and that's been the case for a long time now. But it's very present in the public perception right now with the rise of social media and privacy concerns surrounding that. So I think that we can all agree that we're in a data-driven world, and if there's one thing that AI is really good at, it's managing, structuring, and analyzing data. If you take just as one single example, the biomarkers for aging and longevity sector, the number of biomarkers and panels of biomarkers and the volume of data that we have within that sphere is already pretty overwhelming, and the trajectory is really just continuing upward. And I think that AI will, come to be recognized as, serving not just a complementary role, but a fundamentally necessary role in making sense of all that, in structuring it and analyzing it, and in deriving insights from it, especially within the near term. I mean, Dimitri, I know in the book, you and Margareta really hammer home the point that, health span extension, especially on a population level, and national healthy longevity as an objective for progressive modern governments. The majority of progress that will happen there, at least in the next few years, will be through, the application of precision medicine and preventive medicine and precision health, orchestrated by, biomarkers of longevity and aging. And that, in that sense, a short-term health span extension for nations and populations is much more a data management problem than a biotech R&D or biotech moonshot sort of issue. So I think that AI will very definitely come to be recognized, again, not so much as complementary and useful, but as fundamentally necessary for driving that. I mean, even just considering today the large gaps between the health adjusted life expectancy of nations, Kate was going on in her talk about, the wide gap between the USA and places like Singapore, which very much do prioritize preventive medicine. The gaps there are extreme, both in terms of health adjusted life expectancy and the gap between healthy longevity and normal lifespan. So we can see that practical tools and technologies exist and are, at the possible service of governments today. And we can change the ways that we do things, by using certain best practices and by avoiding others. That's why these gaps exist today. And I think that AI for longevity is really the skeleton key for that issue. And while it may not play a very strong role in the industry today, in the sense that its overall the proportion of the industry that it occupies in terms of investment dollars and things like that is still comparatively small compared to other sectors, its accelerative and disruptive potential for the industry is pretty close to unquestionable. And I think that it'll come to be recognized as a very, very increasingly sizable part of the industry in the years to come.
So Kate is, the girl who controls all the money at Longevity Capital, right? So I would love to hear, because you're the money girl, right? You're the one everyone wants to talk to, that all the entrepreneurs are vying for. So I'd love your thoughts on this.
Oh, you're very kind, Robin, as always. And no comment. So I would add my 2 cents. First of all, I agree with what Dmitry and Franco said. I also think what really helps and what distinguishes us is that we have this unique investment approach that is not focused just on biomedicine. We also include the tech sector as well as the financial sector. I think that's important because there are many segments, they're all important. Again, and I really am very encouraged. There's so many things that can be done today. Okay, preventive medicine measures, precision medicine is here. There are advancements happening there every day. You can, as I mentioned, you can improve life of currently living older people right now. If anything, I think that the COVID pandemic emphasized the need for the age tech factor, like with loneliness and related factors. And then on financial industry, I'm sure that, Sergey can add his 2 cents, or 2 pounds rather, as well. So
yeah, so from the financial side, from fintech side, of course the disruption and inclusion in technology is crucial, but there is also one more thing for the end customer, is the lack of education. So for example, just if we take in account the WhatsApp app, I have grandmother. She's 89-year-old. So like 5 years ago, she didn't want to touch the phone. And after I showed her how to use, she's sending me now the pictures every day. So the same thing is about the longevity fintech, about the technological inclusion. The only problem is the lack of education, lack of accessible education, webinars, etc. Or even if they have a book about how to use mobile internet. There are some companies, especially telecom companies, who are issuing books for the senior generation. And because of this, they're getting more and more customers. So yes, those are my 2 pounds or even 2 cents.
Okay, however, I would like to add here that I would not agree with you about this education, because there is also a problem of ageism, and that financial institutions are actually suppressing rights of all people, considering them as, all not only disabled physically, but kind of like mentally disabled, which is not the truth, because in reality, what I do see that, and we actually made, research that all people actually now becoming digitally sophisticated very quickly, internet sophisticated, and they are now, start to be quite capable to use, different mobile devices. However, the problem is that industry is not producing their devices, because the only device which they actually can use, it's only iPad, not a smartphone. So this is the problem of communication device. If there will be more devices with simpler software specifically designed for all people, this will be, very, very kind of changing point for fintech industry. But of course, you're having this longevity card. I think you will be the first in the field.
Also, I wanted to add, Dmitry, that I totally agree with you. It's an excellent point. And for this particular case, to make perfect seamless user journey for our users, we are partnering, I can't tell the name currently, but we are partnering with several national research universities who will help us to develop this seamless user journey. So I totally agree with you, and thank you.
Yep. However, the card is not only for all people, but for everybody, including young.
Where is my card?
Exactly.
It's like
so, Sergey, when the card is actually planning to be launched in the US, by the way?
In the US, we're expecting Q2 2021.
And currently it is UK and Europe, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, good.
Okay, so now we have to go to Europe. You know, I think a group trip would be in order.
Yes, indeed.
So I'd love to talk a little bit about reaching age 120, because I know I want to reach 120, but I want it to be very healthy. And I'm sure a lot of people who are watching also want to do that. So I'm interested in the types of timelines you guys might have in mind for longevity escape velocity, where your prediction of when the technologies will be on the market that will help us reach 120.
All right, probably I will take this particular question. So here's the point. ETA is like, you know, estimated time arrival to the level of escape velocity. Escape velocity, this is a term which is used in, again, aerospace. Like what is the speed required for a particular vehicle to, you know, to be able to take off from Earth orbit. Now, what the speed of acceleration of development of biomedicine is required for particular people to maintain their, you know, current biological age, in the sense that if I succeed to survive one additional year, during that next year, the actual amount of progress and practical applications to my health will extend my life to at least one additional year. The problem with this, so my prediction that for the people of our average age, let's say 40 years, estimated time to achieve this escape velocity is 2030. For the people, for example, such as Franco, who is 28, I think, so for him, this estimated timeline is 2027. For the people who are, for example, now 60 or 80, this will be 2035, maybe 2040. So this is depends on the current state of your health, age, and your current biological age. In other words, younger people will achieve that, you know, technological abundance sooner because their immune system yet working very well. All people will have to survive a little bit longer to achieve that level of escape velocity. But in general, current normal life expectancy for people such as us, it's absolutely beyond 100 years. For most of us, it will be 120 years. And, you know, projections like 130, 140, it's also realistic, and it will become normal in 10 years from now, in the sense that public perception will estimate that 120 is normal.
Just in 10 years, so by 2030.
In 2013, when I entered this field, you know, all people were considering that average life expectancy is 75. Whenever anybody on any conference was saying there will be average life expectancy 100 years, everybody, it was 7 years ago, were considering such speakers like you know, like a lunatic, like a dreamer. You know, if you now will say on any conference that normal life expectancy will be 100 years, they will laugh on you like it's like very pessimistic, because now normal is to say 120 years. So this is like how, you know, public perception is changing. And I guarantee that in 10 years, people will speak about 200 years. Jack Ma of Alibaba, he's already several years ago, like publicly pronounced that people will live up to 200 years.
That's amazing. All right, so I want to ask Kate a question now. A very common criticism in the longevity industry is that these technologies are only going to be available to the very wealthy, right? What do you think about that? And is there anything we can do to really democratize it?
Absolutely, and it's an excellent question, Robin, thank you. Well, I think like any frontier technology, it initially is available to the very wealthy. We can take a look at the, you know, Human Genome Project, you know, when one sequencing of one genome took billions of dollars, and now you can totally sequence yourself at a company like 23andMe, Ancestry, etc., for under $100 at sometimes, right? I think that today's, you know, smartphone is an equivalent of a supercomputer from many decades ago. So, but the key here is that once we get started, and yes, while the initial technologies will be available to the very wealthy, the level of investment would actually make it available to everyone rather soon. So we're not talking about decades here at all. So we just need to get the good tool and take it from there.
So kind of like the VCR or the TV was back in the 70s and 80s, and now you can't even give a VCR away, right?
Exactly, exactly. Yes, so there's big hope there.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
And one last question before maybe we take a couple from the participants. So this book really emphasizes that the longevity industry will really be one of the biggest industries in human history, but also one of the ones with the most ethical implications. Right? So can you talk about that a little bit, Dimitri?
Yes, longevity industry is very simple industry in terms of ethical side. The only one way how you can generate profit, and actually super big profit in this industry, is actually to deliver health, and actual life to people. And now we have the problem that there is no clear tools how to assess what is like really healthy and unhealthy. But in 2-3 years from now, as I mentioned, there will be quite sophisticated panels of biomarkers, and any claim, whenever any doctor or any kind of company selling some kind of I don't know, like food supplements or vitamins or some kind of magic pill or something like very, very secretive tools. So any person with access to this technology will be capable to assess, as CEO of their health, to assess what is actually healthy, and whether those magic pills, whether they are providing real practical let's say benefits, or maybe this is just placebo. So my point is that there is room for crooks and some kind of bad actors in the field for another 3, maybe maximum 5 years to push their bullshit, fake product. But I can guarantee that in 5 years with these technologies, everything will be capable to be assessed in real time. With that, longevity industry will become the most ethical, because good players will be capable to deliver good products to extend health and life to the people, and with that they will deliver the most precious types, which is much beyond than any financial assets. So this is like equation which is here's ethical side is absolutely equal to business side.
Awesome. Kate, do you have anything on that particular question?
No, I think I completely agree. And I think especially in view of the pandemic, it's very clear to everyone there is nothing more important than human health, right? We've even seen, I guess, somewhat surprisingly, that the level of biotech investment increased substantially and was very robust in Q1 and Q2 of this year, right? So I completely, admire your passion and mission to positively impact millions of patients globally, but longevity and human health actually affects every human being on this planet. So I think ethical implications are absolutely positive for every human.
That's amazing. Thank you. Now I'm going to look, we have a couple of questions coming in from participants. This first one, what are the technologies that will make drug discovery cheaper? And does the book cover this? And this is one of the things I talked about in my opening. So both machine learning, we were able to get a small molecule to mouse trials with less than $10 million. This is like huge in the world of clinical trials, right? You don't ever get to mouse trials for something that deep. But the second thing that really will help impact drug discovery is tissue engineering. Because right now, about, I want to say 20% or 40% of drugs fail in late stage trials just because they're toxic to the kidney. Mm-hmm. So instead, we can now do kidney assays and liver assays, which are just, tiny little functioning cells from a liver that we can test drugs on before we even get to mouse trials and find out if they're toxic to human beings, right? Way before we spend any money getting it to that point. What about the panel? What are some other ways that technology will hopefully make drug discovery a lot cheaper or easier?
I think once again, this data science, artificial intelligence, this is the most universal, let's say, tool and approach. There was also one interesting question in our chat about whether countries will start to compete for the companies which are actually working in the longevity space. And we have very, very kind of clear answer to this. Aging Analytics Agency are already working for several years on the matter of longevity governance. So the company is comparing many countries and assessing which of the countries. So as you know, during last 50 years, countries, especially in all small countries, they were competing for big wealthy money launderers to provide them so-called, tax havens, to create for them, some kind of specific environments, and they would open bank accounts and keep their money. my prediction that, by the way, now countries are starting to compete for tech. So many countries becoming tech hubs along with Silicon Valley and competing for advanced tech companies. My prediction that in the next 3 to 5 years, there will emerge several countries which will create very specific, very advanced, progressive technological and legal frameworks to invite, to bring, to attract longevity-focused companies.
Nice. All right, and one more question. A promising direction in longevity is resetting and reprogramming the human epigenetics. What's our opinion on that in comparison to other research areas? Any victim on the panel want to take that one?
Franco, probably you shall be a victim.
I would say, sure, that's research that we're aware of and that we're looking at. But, as Kate was mentioning, a really unique part of our strategy is our broad approach, allocating portions of the portfolio that fall within basically the full scope of the longevity sector, including not just biomedicine and things like geroscience R&D, which indeed have a lot of promise, but are a little bit farther out and require a lot more validation, and things like finance and tech and things of that nature. So yes, we're aware of it, but the spectrum of sectors is broad. Even within something like geroscience itself, the breadth of the sector is broad, and we're basically looking, in a sense, to bet on the growth of the entire industry rather than, making more risky bets on single technologies, single subsectors, single approaches, etc.
There's also one interesting question about neuroplasticity. So, by the way, neurotechnologies, it's essential part of longevity. The major tissue in human body is brains. Without healthy brains, without efficient neuroplasticity, we cannot talk about human longevity. So it's do not make any sense, to not have well-performing brains and well-performing body. It's like nonsense. So my point is that, of course, when we're talking about longevity and technologies for longevity, first of all, neurotech and technologies capable to improve neuroplasticity, it's one of the most most crucial, most important parts. In our portfolio, we have one of analytical subsidiary, Neurotech Analytics. That company is actually was incorporated 1 year ago, and it is working on analyzing neurotech industry. In the next several months, it will produce a second report on the neurotech industry, and neuroplasticity, especially for old people, there will be a specific part on that matter. And to answer simply to the question, there are already some technologies capable to enhance neuroplasticity not only in young or middle-aged people, but also old people.
Nice. And the company I mentioned earlier, MindMaze, it is also indicated for use in aging and neurodegenerative disease. So really retraining the brain and creating new connections to combat aging.
Sergey, by the way, I know that Longevity Card just recently made a strategic partnership with relevant company on that matter.
Yes, we've made a partnership with Headspace, which is #1 in meditation. Probably, Robin, you 100% know them. Yeah, and these guys are leaders in, I would say, in one of the leaders in mental health. So we're very proud of partnering with them because I can explain that financial institutions should be responsible for mental health of their customers, because mental health very much affects the financial well-being. And yes.
By the way, regarding this mental health, there's also such a very specific term as biological aging, but also psychological aging. Psychological aging is boosting biological aging. So to stay longer and healthier, you need first of all to be psychologically younger. So and with that, to focus on brain plasticity and health of brains. The health of the body is a little bit secondary, because having all the technologies and even such great example as Robin, you can understand that you can treat, you can repair your body, but brains is much more complicated, especially not only brains technically, but also nervous system. And this psychological aging and health of nervous system, this is like a very interconnected topics.
Sure, and one more thing which I wanted to add, that because of Dmitry, of these all directions, I'm more than happy that 6 years ago when I met you on Oxford conference, I decided just to go out from traditional banking and move to longevity banking. So this is amazing.
Yeah, by the way, in our book in introduction, we are actually formulating that one of the major ideas of the book, it's actually help many people to transition their careers from banking, from maybe lawyers or, you know, other industries towards longevity. Kate is one greatest example, but we need, you know, hundreds and thousands of such people as Sergey is Kate, because many people do not understand that it's good to work somewhere in bank, but like I was also working in, you know, financial industry previously, but then I understood that I do not have actually, you know, real purpose in my life. When I started to be in this longevity industry, every day I do know what to do. I mean, I don't have anyone, you know, free me, because I always can do something more in this longevity field.
Nice. Okay, so I think with that, we have to wrap it up, or do we have any more discussion points?
I think
Franco?
we are good for today. Franco, probably you shall a little bit summarize and provide, you know, some additional instructions or inputs about how to achieve, like where to get exact information in what parts of the book or specific websites, links.
Sure. So I'd like to thank you, Robin, for moderating today's event. I once again couldn't think of a more fitting person to you know, have facilitated this discussion. So thank you so much for that. I'd like to remind everybody viewing today that the book is again available officially on Amazon as a high quality full color 400+ page print edition, printed on high quality paper, as well as a Kindle ebook. And that it is also available as a full color high resolution interactive PDF, which is available on the Longevity Book website. And again, for those of you who do purchase the print edition, please do contact us to request a free copy of the high resolution PDF from the website. I'd also like to remind everybody to click the subscribe button on the Longevity Book website. By doing so, you will be informed about future upcoming events, including some currently scheduled in the coming months on longevity, fintech, and finance, investing in longevity, and longevity policy and governance, as well as gaining access to a variety of follow-on content that the authors are making available, including specialized articles, multimedia materials, and exclusive previews of chapters that will appear in their forthcoming sequel, Longevity Industry 2.0, which, as Dmitry mentioned, will be coming out at some point in 2021. Once again, the journey of Longevity Industry 1.0 doesn't stop here. The book itself should be considered a little bit less as a formal book and more as the necessary vehicle and launching pad for a much larger series of books and interactive, dynamic, evolving, you know, multimedia ecosystems. And subscribing to the website will give you access to all that follow-on content. Additionally, we will be taking part in the Longevity Policy and Governance Summit, which will be happening, I believe, in early November. It's hosted by the UK All-Party Parliamentary Group on Longevity Secretariat, Longevity International, where Dmitry, who's also co-founder and head of international cooperation for the APPG Secretariat, will be delivering a presentation. So we encourage you to register for that summit at longevityinternational.org. And with that said, I'd like to once again thank everybody for joining us for this lively discussion today. Thank you once again to all of the panelists and to Robin especially for moderating the event. And we hope to see you all again soon.
Great. And if I might add my second 2 cents here, and I also thank everyone, especially our wonderful moderator and a great friend. I wanted to add a comment to the audience that there's also a free summary of the book available on the website in case you are not sure whether you want to purchase it and see what it's about. It's 60 pages long, so it will give you a pretty good idea. And then since we've been talking about, people who live up to the age of 122 years plus, and obviously we need to monitor them because we will owe the first person to reach 123 years $1 million. So there's a very cool open access report on our website. It's called agentanalytics.com. And you could see, all of the top supercentenarians, which is anyone age 110 and above. We've done this report in conjunction with Gerontology Research Group, and it's also interactive, and you can see the social profiles and what these people are doing. Personally, I really like it. And then finally, we also mentioned the importance of government policy on longevity. And if anyone is interested in that, there is more open access reports on the same website that cover suggestions to various governments, including the United States. And I think it will be essential if people spread this information and try to affect the policies of their respective governments, because we need to create a critical mass and make life better for everyone. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.